I'm the one that catches crap.
4 PM, we call this meeting to order. Go ahead, Dave.
We've got a meeting for the Mountain Lakes District Monteau Revitalization Committee. Today is it June 2nd? We fixed that date. Thank you all for being here. We had a last minute kind of change, so thank you for being good. Joey's pulling in. He'll be in here in just a minute too. I'm here as meeting chair, Dave Long.
Here, Cassidy's here, Commissioner.
Other roll call. Go ahead and state your name if you could, guys.
Ray Martin's here.
Diane Coed.
Find me a pen that works. That'd be good. And we have some members of the public here also on Zoom and in person. So we've had our sign in. We're good to get rolling.
Joe Mitchell's
I'll wait.
walking in the
I'll
door.
wait 15 seconds, 10 seconds, and we'll call Joe.
Joey Mitchell's here. Thank you.
Mate. We'll do some discussion and review from the last meeting. We've got some bullet items here to kind of go over. Eric, you put this together. Anything you want to jump right into?
I was gonna try to pull up that long-term roadmap I emailed you guys at the end of last. We could pull that up maybe afterwards, cause I'm trying to get it right now.
Yeah.
Look at it again, just to make sure we're all on the same page or wanna add or take anything away.
While you're doing that, I'll just talk about a second, the kiosk install plan. I know you and Ian had been talking, kind of about that. I talked to him at that pancake breakfast the other day, and he had some great ideas. Was planning on putting together that stock list and, from some other projects that he's seen and.
Yeah, I sent him a few images of what to work on.
Yeah.
And clarified that the roofing and whatever, and so, he said he'd get back to us on a materials list for us to order.
Yeah, that's perfect. Brush hogging on here. That was a discussion that we had with Ed Page. He was really just looking for further direction. When we were up there on trail cleanup day, we were able to kind of open up quite a bit and really unearth a lot of those old ski trails and make them really look pretty nice. I think our next step as far as the brush hogging part of it is identifying the areas where we would like him to operate. We have a good grasp as to our uphill route from a skiing standpoint and probably from a somewhat of a biking standpoint as well.
Yeah.
And then I think that the way that I see it, and I think we need to kind of get up there as a group and go over it, but the way I see it is the brush hogging will really just be kind of combining some trails, taking a trail, from that, the uphill side and being able to tie in some of those cross, what we're calling the rescue roads, and opening those up so that trail A meets trail B meets trail C, to kind of make it a little bit more tying one thing into the other. So it's when I was originally looking at it or kind of throwing that idea around, I thought that there was quite a bit more work that needed to be done in order to clear things out. And then after really just spending one day up there, it was like, a lot of this infrastructure is already here. So tying that stuff together, I don't think it's going to be as big of a project as maybe I initially thought. And maybe that speaks for the group as well. So really, as far as Ed was concerned, he was happy to do it whenever. I think that he typically does the what we'll call the tow rope trail, that side of it anyway, as well as doing some work over here. So I think if we can tie that all in together, he'd be happy to kind of do it. But I don't think it's anything that we need to push for, and nothing that needs to be done like before bike race weekend.
No, not particularly.
Right.
If it's not as much, is it, the budget's still the same? I thought it's gonna still be the same.
Yeah, well, I think we could, even if we double spent there and had more, there's still more to do, but it's just,
Right.
it's probably easier once looking at it than I think he thought.
Right.
But one of the things I was working towards out of my own pocket is I'm acquiring 50 of these. I'm gonna try to sell these at double the cost so that I make an extra $1,000 of donation money to give to the same guy to do 2 days there. And just keep opening up the trails again in a budget neutral way.
Okay.
So if anyone's interested, $40, but I don't have them yet.
Cool.
Good idea.
I have a lot of friends and family that wanna just help too, so that's why I started
Okay.
doing this. And,
And basically he was looking at a day rate. He was kinda like, I could come and I could spend a day there, right? So
Right.
we could certainly keep him busy for a day, whether it was,
Okay.
up here or over there or
Yeah.
whatever. So I think by the time we're ready to do that, I think we could fill up a day for him,
Cool.
Were you able to pull that up yet, Eric? Or are you
Yeah, I
still
have
messing
that
with
document, maybe I can even share it on the screen too. See if I share. Okay, so this was just something I sent out last month, and this was based on the other thing that I made before we made it a roadmap was just like the vision. And so now we've broken the vision into, shorter term goals, midterm goals, and then longer term goals. I didn't know if anyone reviewed any of that, had any comments, wanted to go over it at all. But this is what I was looking at here, just as like a roadmap.
Sure, yeah, no, I think you did a good job of putting it into feasible goals for a short term.
Digestible.
I'm kinda looking at everything as a short term until we can get
Yeah.
through, like right now, I'm looking, my focus is on this July bike race, cause July's
Right.
right around the corner.
Right.
It'll come rolling in here pretty quick, so,
Right.
if we focus our efforts on that, and then, I
The
think
rest
the
of the
rest of
year
it
we
kinda
have-
falls in place,
Yeah,
right?
and it's nice that we have the July race this year, cause I feel like all year, like, we were building up to it a lot, and that was the whole
Right.
focus, we get it done, we have a little more money to play with. See what we can do the rest of the year, and we still have all these other conversations going with everything else we're doing.
Yep, rolling into the fall, so, I know you had put on, I think you put on for, like a fall cleanup date. to, like,
Yeah.
schedule our fall.
Yeah, we could just pick a date, and we can figure that out sooner than later.
Right,
Arbitrarily throw in a date there for another trail cleanup concept, I'd like to be walking at that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
so when will that be? No rush, no
I'm
pressure.
gonna get there faster than people tell me I'm gonna get there.
There you go.
We'll
That's
see.
good.
I'm guessing September.
I'm gonna guess July, but
Jeez.
maybe we'll see.
July with the
This is an
flip.
old man's
With a limit,
perspective.
I know. I'm gonna do my best, that's all.
The trail cleanup day that we had already this year was awesome. I mean, it was great turnout.
Lots of fun.
A lot of fun. The weather wasn't super cooperative, but it was good all in all anyway.
It was good up till noon,
Yeah,
when it rained.
Yeah, it was a perfect timing, the pizza from Swiftwater was great, and it was the best turnout we've had in the 2 years, but I think we'll keep going on that.
The best part was I didn't have to do anything. They were done.
Anthony, you had sent along some information about some wood that you were able to acquire. You got some projects going over there that we can.
Yes, I
salvage?
do. I have access. We're removing all the docks at a marina that I work at with, and a lot of the material is actually pressure treated material. There are other docks built out of 2x6 decking untreated, but I'm going to concentrate on bringing over both intact pressure treated docks as well as pressure treated materials that I've scavenged um, from other docks. For me, the priority crossings right now are the stream crossings on the bottom of Blue BLT, or what else did we call it? Yeah, the Blue. There's two stream crossings there that I really want to get covered. But after that, there's a boardwalk I'd like to put across Green to the marshy area. There's a short bridge there over running water currently, and put boardwalk over that. I don't know, maybe it's 50 feet, but also a priority I think for the project is there's been talk of a bridge crossing down at the base area, and that seems to be a really high priority that I'd like to address, and I just need to get familiar with the site and the specs of the bridge that I think Ray may have located it during the trail work day. At least a site where it's going to be. So anyway, I need to have a look at it so I know what material to bring. I envision either 4x4 landings on either end, or depending on the situation, maybe build a small crib. Bridges are built with cribs filled with rocks, makes a really sustainable embutment on each side. But again, I need to look at this site before I decide what
When
the
when are you
engineering
back?
can look like.
When are you back to maybe try to go over these sites? We could try to plan.
I will definitely, I need to get the email list. We had talked about an email list for, um, at least for Ray and Joe, and I do plan on coming over. Well, I don't know. I'm usually over there every week. I'm thinking either middle next week or end of next week I'll be over, and I'll certainly be in contact with you, Ray, or hopefully the group or whatever, keeping everybody in the loop,
Yeah,
because I know that that's something that Monteau Martin looked to think about for years based on the picture of the rotten two by whatever they were. So I know that and it's also something I'd like to see in terms of moving beyond downhill biking trails into other recreation aspects of the area. So that's exciting too. Having the trails cleaned out, and I guess they're
Anthony,
walking.
those spots that you're talking about on the bottom of the trails, the existing trails there, are you looking to kind of move those trails or just put bridges over areas that are just naturally wet right now?
Yeah, there's actually three active stream crossings. The one on the Green Trail, the Big Toe. I built a bridge on the stream, both stream crossings at the very bottom and a little ways up. But leading into that higher level stream crossing is a very marshy, wet area that really needs a boardwalk. That's a lower priority compared to bridges on the running water, both on the two spots on Blue. Um, yeah, there's the two spots on Blue, and of course the walking trail, or whatever we're going to call it, at the base. Getting running water covered up is definitely the
Okay,
priority of those three bridges.
sure. If anything was gonna run, it's running right now because everything
yeah,
is
right.
wet.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
I
good
I
time
was
to
there
do
all weekend.
it. Yeah.
There were ducks in the street down the road from me.
yeah. Okay. Well, email me or I can email you, I guess, Anthony, and we can get a group chat going. But anyone, if we can coordinate when you're here next, so we can, as many of us want to as we can, go over there and look at some of the sites we're trying to propose for like a bridge or two. We
Yeah,
can just find detail, make sure we're on the same page with it. I can crutch a little bit from like where we park to go to certain small areas, I think, to show you at least one or two.
yeah, I definitely agree with more people, more perspectives we get on a
Yeah,
project,
yeah, especially because
the better.
Ray went
One
before
other
us.
question I had, is it okay to, I'm going to start bringing over sections of dock. Is it okay? I was thinking about putting it on the concrete slab at the base of Blue. I don't know if you have a preferred area for me to
Oh, you mean
dump
like where
10,
our
they're
old
usually
garage
2 foot.
pad was? That's what you're saying? Just save it, store it there for now?
On that concrete pad, like the parking area you're talking about?
Yeah, as you're headed up skiway over the culvert, the
Oh,
big culvert on the right hand side,
there's a
there's a
little parking down
slab
there
of
where,
concrete there.
yeah, that used to be a maintenance garage, and so, yeah, no, I think that's a great place to store some extra wood if we're gonna use it.
Yeah, okay. I
Okay.
did want to make sure, because I would like to, have a place to bring, every time I'm in Culver, I want to try to bring a load of something over. So it'd be nice to be able to pick it up easily, and be out of everyone's way as well, and not
Yeah,
Well, let
sink.
us know when you're coming, because if you need a hand
yeah, we can
offloading,
help.
you got your work
Oh
cut
yeah,
out.
I will.
So
I
let us
definitely
know.
will.
Perfect.
Um, and I guess, while I have the floor and thinking about it, um, Adrian was asking about dirt. Is there any possibility of getting dirt anywhere? Scoops of, I've got my tractor. I've taken the mower off, and Adrian wants to work on some berms here and there. Um, so I know dirt is of short supply. I definitely understand that, and was just wanting to put that out there. We don't need an answer right now, but it's something we're thinking about in terms of
We have a
trail
huge
construction
pile
in
of
general,
dirt.
but
We have a
the
huge
bicycle
pile
in
of dirt
particular.
Anthony, right at the base of the mountain right now.
Okay, is it sandy to stop toilet? Is it, I mean, yeah, okay, great. What was there a project down there?
Yeah, no. Why don't you take a look at that dirt first, and
Yeah,
if it's not the right
great.
stuff, tell me what you wanna find and we can source it,
Okay,
figure it out.
all right, thank you. I'm sure you've got a lot on the agenda there. That's what I wanted to cover. Thanks.
Are the
Yeah.
berms specific to the pump track that's gonna be happening, or is
No,
that?
I think he's talking about the
He was
trails.
talking about for the trails. What, how are you thinking about getting that up to the
And how will
spot?
that work? Yeah.
Backpacking it, or,
No, I've already done that with the one rock on that bridge, that one little triangular rock. No, I have a tractor and I've recently put a quick hitch on it so I can get my mower off and get over there and move bridges around and move dirt around if it's available and whatever, just material in general.
My
I mean,
tractor's
there's a lot of
available.
rock there. We can use a lot of rock, but there's not much dirt.
okay.
Anthony, my tractor's available for use too, if we think we need it for something.
Yeah, how close is it to I don't even know where you live, Eric. Is it closer to, oh, can you drive a tractor with your leg or is
You get
your
it over
clutch,
there any day, it'd be easy to get over there in a couple minutes.
okay, all right, well,
Concerned.
that would be good too, because I'm a little ways away. I mean, I would come through the
Drive
back
down the
there, but
road.
it's a ways.
Yeah,
What's
the
that?
Stuff
You drive
that's
it on the
over
road?
there should work great.
It's not a little lawn
Yeah.
track.
No, it's a big guy. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
That's what hurt your leg.
What's that?
That's what hurt your leg.
Well, I was not on my tractor when I hurt my
I
leg,
know.
but
I know.
playing with big stuff out of my competence level, is part of it, for sure.
So how do the berms affect the way the trails are gonna be, for multi-use? Does that make them more bike specific, and is that something we should think ahead about, or like what are you gonna be doing with the berms, I guess is my question.
I feel like berms
Yeah,
are just kinda on the edge of the trail, so you kind of ride up on them. As a hiker, they wouldn't bother me going up if I wanted to,
Yeah.
I would think.
But just on the bike specific trails too, as well, right?
And then we try
Yes,
to
and
get stuff for this year's race.
That's what they're trying to do, is just spiff up certain trails so that they're better than last year even, right?
it actually makes them easier and smoother, and I can certainly, let the group know, and I don't know what Adrian has in mind for placement, but I can certainly mark it if we want to get it, a look at it before we start moving dirt. That'd be fine. Adrian probably has some time coming up. We just graduated, so he might have some time to get over there and do a little improvement.
So I do remember that being part of the initial discussion with the race coming in, some berms being built, and then if they're too like expert level stuff, then being kind of flattened out a little bit after the fact, so like after race weekend, if it's like, hey, this is expert level stuff, do we need to go back in and scrub some of this down? That's
Yeah,
always something that could be done after the fact as
the,
well.
the berms actually make it lower the ability level rather than raise it because they smooth it out, they make it easier to turn. Unless you're building a ride wall, which is a wall, they actually lower the ability level for
Okay.
biking. The
Making
better
it
you are, and the faster you go, the higher up on it you go. If you're a beginner, you just stay, on the bottom side.
It all just depends on
The
how
hikers.
fast you're going when you heat that. Yeah. All right, good enough. Well,
Yeah,
that works.
I think it's good to just have like a general plan of like how we're gonna do those
Yeah.
and where they're going, just to make sure we have that planned out first before we start moving.
Okay, I'll
forward.
make sure that they're flagged or something and
Cool.
let the group know to have a look.
Thank you.
Anything else pressing that you see? I've got the flagging is en route.
You mean the race tape?
The race tape, and then the spades that we need for in the ground. That's just something that we'll pick up locally. Anything else that you can think of prep wise for the race that we need to be thinking about? I think you got some of this down here. Porta potties, ambulance. And just to go through that quick, I guess that jumps way ahead. But is that all right?
Yeah, no, yeah, if you wanna just go into that, I mean, we should, the first thing would, we should put a new budget together and just make sure we have a spreadsheet of what our costs are gonna be. and our projected income again.
Right.
I have the parking.
You've got
or
last
the-
year's
the
budget.
traffic signage, parking signs, I have those, stored in my garage right now, so we
Okay.
can back out.
You have that budget sheet from last
I have
year
the same
on that.
spreadsheet, so we could just make a 2025.
Just scrub that and then
Yeah.
we'll start over.
Yeah.
As far as our fixed costs there, the ambulance, the porta potties, the ambulances pretty much said that they'll be in the same boat that they were last year.
Yeah,
He has committed that they will be available,
Good.
so that shouldn't be a problem. He was working on staffing, they do that in like a 30 day kinda
yep,
increment thing, so he was gonna put that out, for next month.
and porta potties, we have them locally, and we just get them moved for that day or something like that?
No, so the porta potties they come from, Calkins, and she was a little hesitant to be like very forthcoming with, oh yeah, that's not gonna be a problem, it's
Oh,
busier. So she was looking into that and kind of figuring that out. There's already one
One
over
there.
there,
yeah,
so she was non-committal. But she was doing some homework and she was gonna get back to me.
Yeah, I better get
It's
my
that-
order in.
Say again? Yeah.
Oh, I was like, I better get my order in.
Yeah, porta potty for your house is gonna be second fiddle to, porta potties for the event. He had one at his house last year, cause he had so many people camping in his yard.
Oh,
Jeez,
really?
that's funny.
Jeez.
Home Depot bucket and a toilet seat.
Yeah. So,
Hey, Dave, I wouldn't mess around with that, if you get some other people that can commit, because it's gonna fill out pretty quick.
Yeah, I would, yeah, exactly.
There are some other companies, but they have been consolidated a lot locally, right?
yes,
Like some went out of business.
well,
Yeah.
and they kinda get swallowed up by the bigger guys,
Yeah.
so yeah.
How many
that-
did we have there last year?
It's funny, I was looking back,
Three.
no, there was more than that, cause there was
I think it was 8.
yeah, I was gonna say 6, so somewhere there in the middle, cause there was one that was already there was the 2 from over here, so that was the 3.
Oh,
And then
okay.
we
And then it
brought
was-
in, maybe it was
I think
3
it
more,
was 6.
6
Yeah, I
think
think
it
it
total.
was.
was, yeah.
So are those so the bathroom doesn't get used, or is the bathroom also open?
So the bathroom, we had the bathroom open for
Oh, okay,
use,
cool.
but it did not see a ton of,
That's good.
It was
People kinda
there,
going
it was
through.
there, but wasn't really advertised, but if someone really needed to go wash up or clean off, like
Right.
the guy who fell and scraped his arm,
Yeah.
he went in and, washed off, it was open for people, but we were directing the bathroom traffic to the
Yeah.
porta potties,
Cool.
just to save on
So
everything.
worst case scenario, we'd have more traffic there.
Yeah, right,
That's good.
right, and that whole septic has been upgraded a
Yeah.
lot to handle these types of things, so.
Definitely.
just making a note, so
Alright.
I'll try to call around to some other of the companies and
Yep.
see if we can nail something down. She was gonna get back to me today, but I
Okay.
hadn't heard of it.
Just to go with the next thing, the volunteer list, I updated that so that, it reflects this year's
Cool.
dates. So we can maybe throw that on the Facebook and an email saying like, sign up here if you wanna volunteer. Go ahead, Bob, you got something?
Dave, she knows that it's Mountain Lakes, and she knows that we do business with them, and, it's,
Yeah, I think that's the only reason that she was gonna get back to me. That's the only reason I didn't just get a hard no.
Would you like,
That was the sense I got.
Take a look at it.
would you like new volunteers to have t-shirts, or do you wanna make a new t-shirt design, or you wanna leave that alone? And by the way, thank you everybody for taking the bill for that last year while I'm
Yeah.
bringing up t-shirts.
Yeah, I think we probably still have some
I think
leftover.
most people have them. I don't know if we have extras.
Yeah, we do.
So I would postpone on that for now.
Okay, no, I just could. I don't want to run it because I can, there's no more setup fee because so we could do it, in order for,
Year on them,
small
so
numbers.
everybody use the same one.
Very
Right,
cool.
yeah.
A design idea though is cool. I'm not saying we could handle that right now, but like having some community member design
Have you
something
seen the
every
one that we
year
had
would be
last
cool.
year?
I don't know if I ever saw
It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
I didn't like spending
Well, you
money
better give
on
him one.
the shirt.
them.
Alright, so really that volunteer list just needs to get pushed.
Yeah, we'll
I
put
think
it
that
on Facebook
put that one
and,
out there like
like
soon,
email
so
real
that we can
soon.
start that list back up and,
Yeah.
and get people rolling.
How about the
We have a
camping
food truck,
dogs?
we have a food truck for Reckless both days, and then we have the rec team planning their sandwiches again. And then I think we were gonna consider some concept of our own beer sales in-house to just maximize our own income this year. And I think we can do that because of what we said last time, we basically did all the paperwork for Reckless to sell the beer, to make it a good time for people.
You gotta get a license from the town, don't you, the state?
I think the state, but it was
So
very
this-
simple, I did that last year for Reckless, and I was like, why am I doing all this work if they're gonna make the sales,
Surprise,
you know?
yeah.
So Reckless isn't gonna do it this year, I might talk to them about if they wanna supply the beer and we have like someone sell it or something. I have not looked into the entire thing, but it could be a money maker for us.
So the state of New Hampshire has like 74 different versions of the liquor license,
Yeah,
and the
right.
one that we got was, you know, it was through Reckless, but it didn't have to be.
Yeah.
It could have just been on the Mountain Lakes District. We would have to, they still require that you have an insurance policy for it, just for that weekend. You'd have to follow the guidelines of, it has to be in an enclosed space, which everybody, it worked out well having it in the ice rink area, cause that was considered, it basically just has to be a visual barrier, you
Yeah.
know, this is the area where you're allowed to kind of be. But yeah, no, I 100% agree. After seeing how it went down last year, I think that it's very doable.
Yeah.
I think that it just needs to be tented off, like you know, have a pop-up tent,
Yep.
you know, do something, and then just beer and coolers, and
Yeah.
you sell them for $5-6 a whack or whatever,
Yeah.
and
It'd be cheaper than last year.
yeah,
But if we can make some money, I mean, you know, even if we make $500 or $1,000, I
Yeah.
mean, that is $20,000 would be, you know,
Yeah.
25% more income, you know, and that's two days of beer sales, even, you know, anything would, every $500 increment helps, I think, this cause, so.
we have a rec committee, you're good with doing breakfast sandwiches,
Sure.
you guys
Yep.
are all in on that again?
Yep.
Alright, so
Yeah, I don't
that'll
think it
just
would
be
be the
another,
same people doing the beer sales, I think that'd be maybe us or, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
other
yeah.
volunteers. We'll have to, between now and next month, I think we should, really
Yeah.
harden down on those details.
to volunteer,
And
what-
I can
who's gonna be
happily
there
look
and
into
when?
that
Yep,
today, tomorrow. Go ahead, Bob.
Dave,
yep,
we should do a better job this year of, letting people know that there's breakfast sandwiches there.
Yeah.
Because I heard a lot of, oh, geez, I didn't know there was breakfast sandwiches there.
Well-
And if we could get that out to the camping areas, and maybe when they sign in, tell them what, you know, what's available.
Yeah,
But I think we could do.
and why, this supports the local
Yeah,
community getting
exactly,
it done.
yeah.
So that's something that I already talked to the, you know, the head guy of ESC about last year, was like, he needs to communicate upfront beforehand, so when they're coming here, they're expecting that breakfast,
get- yeah.
not just, you know, so.
Yeah.
And they're expecting it, and they're expecting to pay, why, again, because it's to help benefit the community hosting them there, so it's not just like, it should be a feel-good thing for them too. so.
We did, they did
Maybe
pretty
a
good.
sign at the gate on the way in.
Yeah, we'll just do better advertising and communication on that whole side of things.
Would like a movable cart work to like bring it closer to them, so people know they're around.
Well, we got some kids that know how to do that stuff.
Make you a hot sandwich.
I know, you got some kids.
my kids do that
Really
at the
sell it
concession
well.
stand for baseball.
At the fields.
Exactly, they could do it well.
Anthony said.
Or you could have runners,
He's
have breakfast
also-
runners, take the order and run it.
Right.
You meant-
We
I
had
don't know if
something
you
like
heard
that
him.
last year, but we'll do a better job.
Couple
Sorry,
of
what are
them.
these dates again, July what?
26 and 27.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Alright, so we're in touch with, 95% of the campers beforehand, right? Because
Yeah.
they're signing up and they're prepaying for their
Right,
camping, that's what
right.
happened last year, I think
Yeah.
we only had like 2 or 3 that
Only
paid
starting
on site.
30 days ahead of time.
Right, so what about kind of taking that list, cause we're ending up with all these people's contact information,
Emailing them?
and then putting something out, you know, 15 days before the
Sure.
race, like, hey, this is what we're gonna have to offer, you know? And then letting them know at that point, so that they know, maybe
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
a
need to
valid
bring
point,
as much,
because last year we did have a list of campers, about, 40 of them, of the 41 and 42 that we ended up with.
yeah,
So if we emailed all of them directly with like a really nice catered Mountain Lakes, you know, email saying, you know, here are our rules, here's what we're doing, and
yeah,
just the basics, but also breakfast and beer and whatever else we're doing, and, to benefit this district that's serving you people, that, I think that'll be good.
So I think like 1 week, I'm thinking like 1 week before race weekend.
Yeah.
We should be sending out an email to all the people that we have. I'd have to look back though, a lot of people, it was like 3 days before the race that they were actually showing up, or
Well,
actually
we can always
registering.
blast it then too,
Right.
yeah.
Is
So
it
maybe-
Saturday and Sunday, or is it Friday, Saturday?
It's Saturday and Sunday, some people show up Friday night to get ready for
Yeah.
Saturday morning right away.
Is that mainly like the
There'll be
participants?
riders on Friday.
Say that
Yeah.
again?
You get riders on
Yeah.
Friday,
Yeah, you might, yeah,
So
exactly.
the campers will be coming in Friday night and Saturday night,
correct?
It was-
racing and then leaving on Sunday?
It was less on Friday, most on Saturday, but there was availability and we allowed it on Friday and Saturday for the camping. But again, like Joe just said, it was mainly just people who wanted to get on the mountain at like 8 AM and start practicing that quickly in the morning on Saturday, so they would show up kind of later afternoon, late evening Friday to get going for the next day.
What are you charging the campers?
I think it was 40 plus like a $2 fee
Whatever
on the
the,
internet.
Is that consistent with what
That-
other venues are?
That's what, Anthony, that's what we kind of decided on last year with, I can't remember, what's the guy's name on ESC?
George.
George. yes.
George Elmer. Yeah, that was the sort of the rate at the number of race, I go to these races all over the place, and that seemed to be the standard fare.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty fair, I mean, we're not offering much except for empty land, and they just park there,
Porta potties.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, and
Yeah,
again.
and the
it's
garbage worked out
we
well
get
too
the
last year,
$40
having,
per camper, but we also get the $30 per rider.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if we get a higher number than last year, which I think we will, it should look good.
They put,
Well, I think there should be more because of the time of
July,
year that we're
yeah.
doing it, yeah.
they put a dumpster in too, for,
No, we didn't last year, didn't we have your dump trailer?
Yeah, so I brought a dump trailer over last year, which I'm happy to do that again. We just filled it up with a bunch of black bags and then I kind of swallowed that cost. Just getting rid of the trash. So.
Thank you.
Well, Dave, we've got a dumpster over at the pump house, so we can use that,
Yeah,
instead of you paying for it.
Yeah.
We can. I'm wondering, yeah, we could just move it over there, instead
yeah,
of
we
having-
talked, that was the initial plan last year, and then after it was like, do we really wanna pick up this dumpster and move it over there?
Yeah.
So I could bring a dump trailer, it's not a big deal, I really don't mind
I
doing
think
it.
that's a huge help if we have that, it worked out great last year.
I think it worked out really.
It really did, I would just say, if you did dump it this year, I think you don't have to be the responsible person.
Sure, yeah.
We
No,
can,
it's fine.
you can bring the receipt back and
Yeah.
we're gonna have money, we're gonna have a profit if this works out.
Yeah.
Sorry to bounce back to the beer sales,
Go ahead.
Saturday and Sunday? Or just the Saturday for the beer sales, cause I could take a lion's share of that responsibility, if I was allowed to sample and sell my kombucha.
Hell yeah, that'd be great, yeah.
For that Saturday, but I work the farmer's market on Sunday.
No,
so
but I think you should
I think that
do
could be a
I
good
think
balance
you should do
if
that.
it was allowed.
On Saturday?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Definitely on Saturday, and
You
then,
make, you make
No,
kombucha?
Yeah.
I have a kombucha company.
that's
Really?
cool, yeah.
I don't know what that is.
yeah, Saturday's the big day, because people don't have to drive home.
No.
That's-
Well, it's a little bit
that's
of
perfect.
So I could do Saturday only. but
Yeah, no,
Mine's not alcohol.
Joey, why don't we figure something like that,
Yeah.
where you get to sell your
I
kombucha,
think we
I-
should
as
have
long
that
as the
kombucha there
beer
anyway.
sales are there too, and so people have the option.
Yeah, and I don't
Like my brother
want,
would show up and buy the kombucha, and so you'll
My
have
wife
some
would
people
too.
like that.
exactly, I don't want like the full responsibility of the licenses, but I would love to learn the process that you go through, so it could
Well,
be
we
a good
can look into that.
collaboration there, yeah.
Yeah, we can look into that, and, but if you wanna be the guy who helps on Saturday,
Yeah,
we can figure out, I'll probably be me on Sunday, cause I'm not gonna be moving too much still.
I think I can make that
Maybe I
work.
will be. I'm
You'd
gonna-
be running by then,
That's
right?
what I hope.
So you'd be interested in having your kombucha there for both days?
No,
Or you
just
thinking
Saturday.
I
just
mean, I could
Saturday?
have it for both days,
Oh,
I mean, I could donate a couple
Oh, I
pieces for
get
Sunday
you.
too if
Oh,
we needed,
okay.
but.
yeah. No,
'Cause
you
I
know
feel
what?
like
No,
people would
just for
buy it.
I would be there and take the
This
responsibility.
is a kombucha crowd for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's gonna, I would bet you half the people who buy the kombucha
Yeah.
and the beer, but Yeah, that would be a good way to do it, and if you wanna be the sales rep or person on Saturday, we just find someone else on Sunday, maybe me.
Yeah,
That could end up increasing your online sales there, Joey.
I know, right?
No, and that's part of the whole thing, is like, if we have community members that wanna participate and it helps everybody, it's just
Yeah.
fine. We did that with Vinny last year with the food truck, and he made out good, and.
Yeah.
I tried to talk to, Sean Porter about it, but he was already busy, so. We got the reckless people, but they're huge mountain bikers, and that's
Oh, yeah.
the greater community as well, locally.
Sounds good.
Trail markers, did you start playing around with your,
It's so
machine
fun,
yet?
yeah.
Yeah?
I didn't design a trail marker for us yet, I was just starting to today, but I was having a little trouble, but I bought a 3D printer. And I got all the different colors, red, blue, yellow, green, orange, white, so we can, basically I was figuring like make mountain lakes emblems of different colors, and that could be like our hiking trails, and then in the future we can design a biker or a skier kind of guy, and just, I can print as many trail emblems as we want, and the cost per emblem is like a penny probably, once I get it going, now that I have the machine, so I'm not
Eric,
gonna charge you guys for the plastic, we'll just, that'll be a donation on my end, if you will, but we solved that problem of how we're gonna get trail markers, which was a cost.
Yeah.
They wanted to
Yeah.
charge $500, $600, $700 for like
It was a
100 of
A
them, two
lot.
hundred
Oh,
of
yeah.
them. I can get them printed for dirt cheap, it's just, I'll print like 10 at a time and we batch them out and we pick and choose what we're gonna
It'd be
do.
cool,
We
yeah.
can customize it, and so I'll start tinkering on that, but I was gonna, this green one would be like the first one I make, just the circle, that looks just like that, and that could be like for the green trail or whatever, if we have an idea for those smaller hiking trails, we'll print them all, they're just looking like that, that's the basic stuff, no one needs any, it's small enough with that map, if we have it color coded.
They'll be like
That
this big
resin-
kind of thing?
I was thinking 2 to 3 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can customize the whole thing. I
That
can
resin
get-
isn't cheap though, you said, oh, it's free.
Well, it's free to the district after I pay for it.
I remember a place I used to work at, we had a 3D printer, and
Yeah.
it was quite expensive, doing models, plastic,
Yeah.
resin and all that.
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
We're just talking about chips, you know,
Yeah,
like
like
this,
mini coasters,
super
so like-
skinny, so.
yeah, I mean, 2 pounds is now like $20 or less, so I mean, the amount of, tags that I can make for 2 pounds of plastic is it's no sweat.
Oh, that's awesome.
So will we
I
use the International Mountain Biking Association's colors for trails?
I have no idea what that is.
What I sent you?
Oh, that,
Yeah.
why don't we pull that up on the
Knows
thing
that
too?
Yeah, that's a great resource for everything mountain biking.
Yeah.
That's good, I just think we need a more solid plan with Ray's idea, and maybe like some of the upper trails, kind of figuring out the balance between
I'm waiting my
biking and
turn, so.
hiking.
Right. I mean, it seems pretty similar, the greens is based on slope, you
Yeah,
know,
cool.
and that's how they rate it in the White Mountains is hard, difficult, is based on slope and distance. But, so we don't really necessarily need distance, but it's the slopes, and if it's a green slope for biking, it's probably a green slope for hikers too. And then
So
your-
you're
yours is
trying to
different.
color code based on difficulty and stuff, well, I guess I was just trying to differentiate each trail by a
trails,
different
yeah.
Okay,
color, so, I mean, we could call something like, green or easy, like, we could call it somehow, I could even print the word easy or more, whatever, we could figure it out like that, I get what you
Okay.
mean, this kinda looks like the skiing, I have it on
It
my
is,
too
yeah.
right now.
Cause hiking's typically not blazes aren't marked on difficulty
right,
typically
correct,
for hiking,
right,
but that's a cool
but we're
system.
different.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
We're
it
special.
could be a good idea, might make it easy.
Or, we could, I guess, like circles could be easy and squares, I could print squares
True.
that are different colors, so, and then we could have, so the orange trail is a square and then there's a code down to the squares are more difficult and so on and so forth, but I do think we need multiple colors because we have so many trails.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think there was another page that had different color coding,
Let me see.
cause I think there was an orange or a red, maybe. I pulled from a couple different sources.
I'm looking.
Did I attach it?
It's right here, terrain park or freestyle, that's the orange, oh, that reminds me, yeah, that's like in Loon or something, they have like orange for that.
right. It's pretty typical, I mean, most people are gonna understand that. They
Right.
spend
So,
their
but
time
yeah,
there.
I mean, on the
Right.
bike trails, I could print something that has a little biker on it, and we can put one of these different color coded, squares or circles or black diamonds or whatever into it. This is what's so cool about it, is we could just custom make it, you know, so if I have an orange emblem for the orange trail, and on it is a little black diamond, you'll know that too, you know, maybe
Right.
that's how we differentiate. The green trail would be like a black diamond, that's the big toe.
This is good and easy for us to experiment with and move around, and then once it gets too much and too expensive for you, then at least we'll have a plan in place to
Sure,
know
sure.
what we're moving forward
Yeah.
with.
But I,
And then how are you attaching these, just with a nail?
well, yeah, and so I was gonna design it where there'd even be little holes already in them, so that we just put the nail right through the plastic hole that's already pre-created. Just give me a little bit of time to play with that.
And there's guidelines for that too, putting it into trees, you'll have to have a certain inches outside of the screw, or usually a screw.
They're
And
pretty
you have to
long,
have,
right?
yeah, they're usually pretty long.
Yeah, you
for
wanna leave
growth and-
space for growth.
You know all about that.
Well, I've read, I can't say I'm an expert, but thank you, Joey.
We'll follow your expertise on it.
They don't paint, nobody paints anymore, huh?
Yeah,
Not as much, but
not as much.
it depends on where you are, I guess.
Yeah.
The local land trusts are doing these markers now,
Yeah,
so
doing the markers, yeah.
it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
On the pump track, that's kind of a running thing, I think that's in like
Yeah,
the
this-
middle to long term kind of,
Right, yeah, I would love to get, someone to draw a design of one for us at some point, so we know what we're trying to aim at.
Do you have a spot in mind?
I would keep thinking of where our leach field is, cause it's just dirt on top of dirt at that point.
Yeah.
And if we're not gonna formally use that as campground area, what is it doing there?
Yeah.
It could do other things for us, we'd have to come up with other ideas, but that's just one, and it doesn't have to be the whole section, it could be half of that section. If there's a couple picnic tables while there's a pump track, parents can go watch their kids have fun over there.
What's a pump track?
That's actually a normal setup, is a pump track with a picnic table for the parents to watch the kids, and the leach field is probably a little bit bigger than you need, but that's about the size that they
Right.
are.
Right, yeah, a pump track is like a circular or oval shaped track, like, almost like, think of like a racetrack that just goes in a circle, and then there's mounds of dirt up and down, so once a kid gets going and hits that first hill down, he never has to pedal again, he can pump up and down just through the gravity of up and downs from the.
I've seen that before.
Same
we
with
wanna-
the BMX track we used to go to
If
down in Trumbull.
If I was a kid in Mountain Lakes, under the age of like 18, I'd be on that thing all the time.
Dude, I found one with my kids, we were on vacation over in Maine and we spent like just hours there. just
Yeah.
There's a
messing around.
small
I
one
don't
in
think you
Littleton
can
at
put
Mount
that on.
Parker,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, it's
right
super
at the
fun.
bottom.
You don't think so?
We have to look into
Elm
We can
Street?
look into it, but
Is
the
it?
whole, the whole point of the idea of putting it over there was just like if we had to access the leach field, it's not like there's a real structure there, there's just more dirt there. But you might be right that we'd have to look at that.
You're talking mounds like this big.
Yeah.
Like you're not talking about, 16-foot tall mounds of dirt, they're minimal, but I don't know I would imagine that's a
You
pretty
you can go up
solid.
to 8 or 12, depending on, the higher level deal. Usually there's concentric circles where the easiest bumps are in the middle, and then as you work out to the edge, they get bigger. So you can have 3 ability levels all in the same zone, and they don't cross each other, so you can actually have beginners and experts on the track at the same time, just as long as they're careful entering, entering the circles.
Right.
You have multiple.
Would you find a concept on the internet and email it to me or me and Bob or something so we can really
Do
see
you
it?
have the book that I gave you a few years ago? You said you put it in the office. There's a book that describes the cost, how to build them, how to design them. It's kicking around there somewhere, and
Alright,
I'll
yeah, I
I'll
know,
buy another one if necessary.
no, it's
That was
okay.
an excellent redirect, Anthony.
Yeah, but
That
you
was
know, the
very-
internet has plenty to find too. But yeah,
That's
you make me
solid
search the
work.
paper book.
Toss it right back.
Yeah.
Fun, son.
Well, and again, if you wanna look at one, you can go over to Littleton, Mount Parker,
Yeah.
Parker Mountain, they've got a very simple one.
Probably a good fit
Thank
for
you,
us.
actually, I'll do that.
I think it's Elm Street,
Yeah.
it's one of the, it's
Yeah,
From
one
of
of,
the high school there.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Mount Abram, ski area would be able to give us good advice on that too. and how they integrate their bike trails
Okay,
along their ski mountain. They have a fantastic
where is
bike
that?
program, is it Greenland or Greenville, Maine?
Oh,
It's
okay,
near, where is it near? It's near that other big mountain in Maine.
I
Green,
don't know that one.
Oh, they
That's the
look-
first I've heard of it,
Yeah,
that's an awesome idea.
Greenwood,
that-
Mount Abram's fantastic.
but the pump track?
Yeah, that'd get a lot of use.
That's why I keep talking about it every time, cause I feel like it's just dirt, we could set it up pretty quickly for
Yeah.
cheap.
So would Boudreaux have an opinion on what we could add on top of that leach field over there,
I think I checked
or
with the
not?
state,
Check with
Yeah.
the state.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just one area that we could do, I mean, we have more
Yeah,
land in that area.
It would be
but-
awesome because it's just not getting used for anything right
Can
now.
we reach out to, I mean, this is where things get tricky again with the community view, but I think this would be something fantastic to reach out to Haverhill Parks and Rec about.
Mhm.
And say, hey,
Yeah.
this is what we're trying to do, this is a fantastic thing to get more people outside, and doing things, and they have some funding that they could really support a project like this.
Yeah, well, that
They
might
may
be.
have, they might have dirt too. It's, you know,
Yeah,
the
they-
cost is in the dirt.
Not on
They might have piles of it somewhere.
So
I got mud.
I have personally received, so when they're ditching around, I've had the road agents reach out to me because I have like a cliff on the side of my driveway, and they're like, do you want us to drop this on the side? And it's mutually beneficial because they don't have to truck it as far, and it's right there, so, yeah, like, they definitely, the town of Haverhill very regularly, I mean, when you have a water break, you end up with just dump truck fulls of
Yeah.
material, right?
Yeah, I let
So-
them dump behind my house once too.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
So we can
I
figure
might
that
have a
out.
source of dirt too, I'll let you know in a couple days.
Okay,
Oh, nice.
so yeah, there's an opportunity there for that,
Yeah,
for sure.
again, this is why it's so cool, like, a lot of this stuff can be like budget neutral, as we
Yeah,
say, you know?
right.
It can-
But if we start tying Haverhill into this, then are we gonna make allowances for the outside people, outside of Mountain Lake District to come in and use the facilities? So I know there's issues with
Yeah.
people using the beach, using the pool and, you
Yeah,
know.
that would be a different, this is here, that's over there, that's my first thought, and then secondly, there's no way I think we can fully regulate, you know, if someone takes a bike and rides up that mountain or hikes up that, you know, it's not like we're being used so much that like there's traffic on these things right now. I mean, if this became so busy that Mountain Lakes members couldn't even use their own stuff, there'd be a concern, but I don't see it in the near future.
Just throwing it out.
No, it's something to be aware of, I don't know what
So the
everyone else thinks.
discussion here,
Sorry,
right,
I
just a
missed it.
step,
Yeah.
the town of Haverhill, like bringing the town of Haverhill, if we got the Parks and Recs department
For the
and
pump
reach out to
track.
them
And
and
that's
say,
why,
hey,
that's why I
this.
said it's tricky, because we gotta clear up the confusion or the
Usage.
or the debate in the community about what the usage of Monteau is. Who
Yeah,
has rights to it, is it open use? We kinda have to figure that out first, but I think Haverhill Parks and Rec would love, kind of co-collaborating on something.
Sure, yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And they have the budget for it, so.
and the thing is the kids go to the same schools, you know,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
this is for the kids, and I don't really wanna tell some kids, sorry, you're not special enough to be here. you
So
know?
I've always kinda looked at that Monteau, that area as a
Yeah.
recreation area that is more open, I've always viewed this as private.
That's
and
kinda what
that
I
as-
was saying
It's
too.
always
It's
been
like,
kind
I'm
of a
not-
public use area.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a business too, like if we
Where it
operate
makes
it,
money, there's no way we wanna
or
just
even
make
a
money.
nonprofit, but,
Yeah.
So
Mr. Chair,
not everybody feels that way.
cart before the horse, we've gotta see if we can do this first on the septic field.
Correct.
Yeah,
Well, there's other places we could put it.
Yeah.
But even, I mean, the discussion is bigger than that, it has to do with all of these bike trails, right? We're
Right.
putting up a kiosk and we're gonna be asking for donations for utilizing that space. So whether that turns into you provide an annual donation and you say like, I'm gonna buy my parking pass for the year, like you would do at the National Forest, or.
Right.
And you're able to take those donations in from everybody, it's not just, you're not gonna take donations in from people in the district.
you got, go ahead, Bob.
Go ahead.
as far as the, Havel getting involved with it, as a committee, I would make bring a recommendation to the commissioners, so that we have this in an open discussion.
Yeah.
At a commissioners meeting, and work it through that way.
Yeah, and that's,
So do we as a committee have that, ambition to bring that to
Oh,
the,
yeah.
do we know what
Well, I
we
think we
would even
should-
be asking at
And
this
I think
point?
because we already have like the question from the community about like increased traffic on Valley Road.
Yep.
For the bike event itself, but then also just like in general, when more stuff is established here, what will the impacts of the increased,
Wait, but are we
traffic.
talking about bringing in town of Haverhill rec,
correct,
right?
correct,
And that's more of a long-term
right,
thing, you know, like, if you were to build that track that you're talking about, you know, that would be open, and I would suggest you ask the commissioners to consider that, but it would be open to everybody, because I think a lot like Dave, I think, you know, yeah, this is a private thing here. Over there, the more we open it up,
The more money that can be
community,
brought
the
back to
more
the
money- yeah,
district and the
exactly.
community. Yeah, I see that as an asset that can be utilized to the public.
Yeah.
This type of asset, it should remain,
Community.
private, and then we have the tweeners, like, for example, the tennis courts, we thought we were gonna open it, then we decided not to, because we decided it's much smarter and safer to protect that. So, there's a balance here, but I don't think it has to be fully black
and that's what we have to portray to the community
Correct.
members, that,
Especially the people that live on Valley Road.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
so forth,
yeah,
you know,
and speaking
that's
of
gonna
that,
affect them
while we're
most.
at it, I had sent a photo to a few people, I can't remember who yet, but there's that, or maybe it was just Lisa, but there's that water tank truck that Haverhill has that goes around and like sprays water on the dirt road.
yeah.
And I was just thinking, for the race weekend, if everyone's got a complaint about dust or whatever, maybe we would contract with them for a day or ask them for the favor, or whatever it's gonna take, go ahead.
And I'll talk with Tom and see if I can get him in there the day before, the Friday.
If he could
And
just
have him
line
just
it,
get that,
leave that truck here and go back and forth every few hours and just wet it down so that.
No,
there's
it
no-
doesn't
write
need
that
to
down,
be-
it's good for a few
It's
days.
like,
Oh, I don't know,
And
okay.
it's not.
I'm
one-
glad you know it's not gonna rain that weekend.
yeah.
The only Saturday in the summer.
Well, it's like calcium chloride.
Okay, yeah, it's not.
Okay,
Hey.
well, that's, I saw
So
that
it's
the other,
money.
it was parked out here,
Yes.
and I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's our
With-
solution to that, so that's just one way to
Oh,
just.
no, you can call.
Problem. Sorry,
Lori might
someone,
have said something?
go ahead.
You trying to watch that meeting?
Yeah, it's almost over.
Stupidness they talking now.
Um,
Hey, Lori.
oh,
I'm not sure if you're new that you're not on mute.
he's asking for me.
Oh,
Did
it's breaking.
did you have something to add, or are you good?
No, they muted themselves.
Okay. Sorry, we were just hearing from you, that's why I was trying to give you the floor if you wanted it. So I guess, I just wanna circle back to the Havel Rec, so do we want to
He
to
just,
make
just
some kind of
talking
a recommendation at this point?
No, I
To the
don't
commissioners?
know if we want to yet.
Or do we
because I
wanna
think
hold
we
off on
wanna
that
know
until
what
after?
we're able to do, and if we're able to do it,
Okay, so the pump track conversation is gonna kinda drive that, right?
I
Let's
think
figure
we
out the
should
pump
do that
track and then,
research into next month.
And that's not for this race.
no,
It's not for this race at all. It could be something that we invest in after this race, though. So I guess, I'm not trying to stall it, I'm just saying, why don't we find out if it's safe to put it in that area? If we have a good area for it and a
Yeah.
good design,
Yeah.
then we talk to Haverhill at that point if we want to, or we make the recommendation to the commissioners to make that decision. If you want,
And
something
then,
like that.
what, that's right, you're running the meeting.
no, go ahead, what do you got?
I was gonna
We
ask about
all
the
are.
parking lot.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just gonna move there as well.
Yep.
Great minds. Yeah, so that other parking lot, I kinda see that as being just further camping spots, and I think it's gonna be pretty rough, but people don't care.
I mean, are you gonna planning on using it for this event?
Yeah.
A little spongy in
Do you-
there, right?
I'm sure it is.
I think we should assess that land.
Yeah.
Again, my tractor's available to move down trees and stuff, you can just push stuff out of the way safely.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and then if we need
So
to,
you're not allowed to do it.
I won't do it, but it's available for someone more competent than me. And, but if anyone wants to, you know, if we wanted to, I have all the tools for that to make it a really nice flat pad, but we would just need some maybe materials or whatever, but we could look at all that in the coming months, I would say.
I mean, I'm happy to spend some time over there, working on it
I
and
just feel like,
looking at it.
like half of it's like falling down anyway, and if we just clean it up, it'd be so much wider,
Yeah,
more wide open.
Yeah. But basically, at this point, it's just gonna be more camping space.
Okay, so no
Right.
no cars, or you can bring cars. in
Yeah, bring cars in, but
For
yeah,
camping.
for camping.
That'd be great.
Maybe,
And, yeah, if it's.
if it's spongy, they can park
Oh,
on the
thank you.
road and hike in their camping gear,
Yeah,
it's cause it's
Yeah.
not that far.
so that was the struggle last year. I had envisions of people wanting to do that, and they don't wanna do that.
No one wants
People
to
wanna have their
park and walk
vehicles
through
right
something.
there, so
No,
that
I
they
get
can
that,
get
they wanna
there.
be that, but if they can't drive their car and it's spongy, we at least have an option for
Yeah,
them to,
I parked down there with my truck like all last summer without an issue.
and it was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Really?
so I'm not sure, but I know Bob had his worries about it also being kinda too wet or, so I think we gotta just assess that and see. Again, if we're getting dirt for other things, maybe we pack that down again, and I don't know, we'd have to look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's warm enough like it did last year at the beginning of July, it should dry up
just a
really well.
matter if it's gonna dry up or not, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's gotta at some point here, but yeah, we'll assess that as we kinda get closer, so that'll
Okay.
be a good thing to kick off with for next meeting, see how things kinda dry up. Can we do stick with that first Tuesday, is that generally good? Or
Oh,
go
yeah.
back to first Tuesday if we could set up for July? Or does that push us right into like the 4th of July?
I think we already have it for July 1st
Oh, okay, cool,
at 4 p.m.
perfect,
If we're wrapping up this meeting, we skipped 2 topics.
alright, let's go back then.
I'll just let you know that as of last week, and I have to, let me see if he responded yet. He has not, but the Granite State Backcountry guy, you know, because my leg's broken, we were gonna go anytime last month and I delayed hoping for better news and it's gotten worse. So he was thinking about coming next Friday, and I touched base with him now, asking, did you still wanna do that? And I'll let you guys know as soon as I hear, because I'm gonna need some of you guys to give him the tour. So
So it's
we'll-
supposed to be this Friday?
next Friday,
Oh,
next week,
Not the 6th,
The 13th.
like the 13th.
yeah.
I must have taken it off my calendar, cause I think you must have.
I kept pushing it out because of what
You
happened
must
to
have
me.
said, oh, like, we're just rescheduled for far away.
Yeah, I
But
thought I would have,
If this is the morning-ish of the 13th, I can probably fit that in.
alright, well, when he responds to
Let
me,
me know,
I'm
yeah.
gonna get you guys in the email with him so we can coordinate all that.
Sounds good.
And the only other thing I was gonna say was I've had a text conversation with Mr. Richard Moulton, and he's fine to sign the document with me again via our text conversation, he's happy to. I just, again, had a little bit of an issue with my health, so I hadn't gone and seen him yet, but I can get that done in the coming month.
And who is he?
He's the guy that owns the top of the pinnacle
Pinnacle,
over there,
okay.
that allows us, onto there's one final trail
Mhm.
that, is quite nice. That he owns a portion
Chip
of
and I
that.
went up there, I think, right after the last meeting, we went up, and that's where, you have a trail marker up there, don't you?
Right,
Yes.
the Ammonoosuc
And we saw
ACT.
where the one view, possible view of them down here, and you could keep going, there's another nice
Oh,
area,
yeah.
that's pretty neat.
It's really cool,
Call me.
and Ray, just so you know, the sections that we own on that side prior to those signages, the Granite State people are really interested in that side too, even if it's limited. They think there's some interesting
Oh, yeah.
terrain there, and that ties into the forestry guy that I got involved in, he was very intrigued on that whole side of clear cutting, not clear cutting, selectively cutting certain areas of that same forest too. He said it was all perfect timing if you want to make trails and get the health of a forest revitalized, so.
You talking like above the tennis courts, like kinda going
Yeah,
up that way?
or
Yeah,
where that parking is and up that way.
Right,
That-
yeah.
that's-
There is some really cool terrain all
Yeah.
through there,
Yeah.
that I had never
Yeah.
really paid much attention to until I started walking
Yeah.
around, and I was like, oh yeah, this could be a lot of fun for you.
Right,
Uh,
and even just to play with the idea, where the Bunny Hill, Ropedow Hill is now, off the side going down towards that way, there's some interesting terrain from the top down that I think like backcountries would want, and that's another section where there's like a brook river where you could put a bridge back to like the main trail, so like people could lean off, go off the Ropedow Hill downward towards the pinnacle into the valley there,
mhm.
bridge there and back to that trail system too. I think that would be an interesting connection long term, we can talk about that.
We did have a discussion about putting a bike trail down just beyond the Monteau coming down, instead of having two come down the field, have that, the farthest right one continue down in the woods there. Adrian had walked it out. I haven't been in there, but he had talked about putting something in there to straight to the bottom from that last trail instead of coming across the flat. But again, we'll let you know what's going on with that.
Yeah, any ideas are welcome. That's cool.
So the only thing really with a time stamp on it would be the porta potties, and then the liquor license.
Okay, I'll look at liquor license, and Joey, you know, what I learn, I'll include you so you can
Sounds good.
kinda go through the process with me.
Well, the dirt, cause if we can get the dirt earlier, we could fix some of the curves on the trails, right?
Yeah, and there's some there, like we said, Anthony, so you could take a peek at that. I mean, I've got access to piles of it, it's just a matter of moving it,
Oh,
so,
you have dirt?
oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Cause I was gonna ask, like, you wanna ask
That's
for
good
dirt?
news.
My neighbor has a huge pile that he wants to get rid of, so I'll
Oh,
ask
that's
him.
We
great,
got plenty of dirt then.
yeah,
We got all the
He
dirt
told
you
me, he
need.
told me to come get it and chalk dress my lawn, so
Nice.
I just don't have the tractor, but,
Yeah,
Oh, we know somebody that does.
oh yeah, you don't want me in a tractor.
you'll be in crutches with me.
anything else anybody wanted to bring up before we call this to a close? Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Rick.
I put together a little proposal, I don't think we wanna get into it now, it's the end of the meeting. And it's more it's the lower trails on the other side of the lodge, you know, the cellar hole and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, just, what's there is pretty decent, but I have a proposal like to tie it all together and color code it.
Yeah,
And make it so that it connects nicely, and then now over near the lodge, at the base of the mountain, we could kind of incorporate going in around that little pond and going out to the ball field and that parking area, you know.
So much-
So I sketched it all out really rough, I've got some handouts if you want them
yes,
now.
please.
Yeah.
But we don't have to talk about it tonight, because it doesn't, the bike event is more important right now.
Where are the exercise stations?
Yes, can you, you know, even if you circulate, we review it kinda like I just handed out the other thing for everyone to review for next time.
That might be mine.
We can digest it and come back
Can
to
you read
it.
that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got the next one.
You like that idea?
Yeah.
Exercise stations? All you do is need to roll a log and,
What, like
Putting
do
it
10
down.
jumping jacks in here?
yep, up and down the log, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I made 6.
And, just to add too, a note that Eric and I had discovered some portable, rope tows
Yeah,
that are really fun,
This was a
so.
real quick and dirty, there's a lot crammed in, cause I just took the existing picture of the, you know, the red and the trail, and I just kinda
Nice.
white it out and, 'cause
I
then
like it, I like calling it the Monteau Brook Trail too.
Yeah.
There's like, you know, there's a whole different level of things, but like,
But that's really the Waterman Brooks, the way, you
Waterman
know,
Brook Trail.
I like that, we should call it Waterman Brook Trail.
we could call it that too, yeah. It's something, you know, it just reminds me of like, I would go to Yosemite National Park, and there's all these crazy hikes up the mountain. But the one that was my favorite was walking the valley floor. And I know it's just like such a small thing here, but like even that 1 mile or 2 mile loop on the lower end, if you're exposed to the nature and it's just, it's such an enjoyable walk
Sticks
in
out.
that way. So that could be like a
this
maybe
is just my
Yosemite Valley.
ideas, just thoughts, change, some, you know,
Yeah,
get everybody thinking.
Absolutely.
no, I think it's perfect.
Cause I know a lot about that, cause I've been doing it a lot.
Yeah.
Whenever we have a crappy day for hiking, my wife and I go out hiking every day.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And if we're not gonna go, you know, the Moosalak or anything like that, we
Yeah.
go,
that's where you go.
where we go. So it
Smart.
doesn't matter if it's raining, there's enough trees
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
and all
enough
that.
cover.
We do, you know, multiple loops of all these
Yeah.
little trails.
And it's
So-
still holding up pretty good? Not too
Yeah.
much deadfall and,
No,
Yeah.
yeah, whoever worked that site on Trails Day did a nice job of cleaning that up.
I think that was,
You guys were
Dottie
over
and
there.
Dee Dee, right? You guys were over in that side,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
it was
think
all
it's the
nice
same
and
site you're
cleared out.
thinking of, I don't know.
yeah.
You raked it out and leaf flowed it, and it's really
Yeah.
nice.
Well, and
we've
this
been
would be
and
like
I'm not
our,
that familiar with the mountain yet, you know, we've only been up
Sure.
a couple times, so there's a lot up there.
this could be like our trial run. We figure out how we do everything down low with the color schemes and the
And
emblems.
that's a
and
long, mid to long term thing, that's
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
like,
But I mean, I
Should be
could start
questions.
trying to print a green, a red, and a blue, marker and see how those look, and then you could start practicing and.
I had a statement, there's a statement on that sheet about when I was living in Connecticut, Connecticut has a, blue trail system for the whole state.
Mhm.
And, and it's, every town has a section of them, and they're named, Manifest Trail, Metacomet Trail,
Yeah.
Quinnipiac Trail.
Yeah.
And then, so, and and they kind of feed into each other from town to town, and then within, so you go into like the town I lived in Berlin, they had the Ragged Mountain Preserve, so the Metacomet Trail came in solid blue, and then there was a trail system. And they used the solid, like a light blue and red dot trail, just a dot in the middle, and it was all painted.
Yeah,
And it was so simple, yellow dot trail, white dot trail, and it was tied in with the narrative map and all that
Nice.
stuff. It was pretty neat and pretty simple, so I threw it on there as an idea, but if you've got this,
Ray, this is great.
This is
yeah, it's
fantastic.
awesome.
And if we're following that other system, these would just be circles. So these would be easy trails
Yeah.
Easy
that
trails.
are marked different
Right.
colors.
yeah, we don't need to
and they're
grade
circles.
these, they're flat, so.
Right,
Right.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And then it kind of swings over to the mountain, you get into where the little pond is, the
Yeah.
area we were working on, and then
Yep,
up we go,
Yeah.
and then you can get into the serious stuff.
yep, I love it, that's great.
Fantastic.
Joe, you were saying, I think you were saying something about a rope there, if you just wanna throw it out.
Oh yeah, Eric and I discovered a few different options for portable rope tows. So there's some potential for the future of that being sooner
Yeah,
than we realize as well, if we really wanna mess around with a
For,
couple.
tubing,
Tubing
For
or
skiing, tubing,
Yeah.
all of that.
all of that, I think it could all work,
Yeah. So we
there's
could
some
raise-
affordable ones, we wanna make sure it's safe enough for like a group or
Exactly.
whatever. But it's definitely, I didn't see where yours was built, but the one that I
It's
found
New
was
Hampshire
New
based,
Hampshire
and
was
they-
kinda
yeah.
cool. But those are all things of like what we can work towards, and maybe we'll bring those links in next time just
Yeah.
to show people what we're thinking about.
It's a great rec committee event,
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, but the rope tows, the one that I was looking at,
Yeah.
if you go on their Instagram, half the time it's bikers grabbing onto the
Yeah,
rope
Grabbing onto
and
it
being
and
pulled
lifting
up,
up.
and that could
That's
help us
fantastic.
resolve some of the uphill battle that we're, trying to figure out for the bikers too, is they could, if there was a portable rope tow, if it was on the bunny hill in the winter time or whatever, the sledding hill in the winter time, and then we put it strategically, towards the second half of the up,
The uphill part.
for the bikers, for the race, it could make things a lot easier for
Pretty
everybody.
awesome. What kind of power source? Diesel run or are they,
Yeah, I think so, I'd have to,
I know there's some that were like 220,
I think you've
like they're
seen the
looking
one
for power.
I've seen before, but we could look again.
Diesel.
Yeah, but those are goals.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
Alright, anybody got anything else?
Good.
5:08, call this meeting to an end. Or do I need a motion?
Second bet?
Second, sold
Favor?
and sold.
Aye.
now you're in the fire department with Don, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This next door